going to I'm sitting close to the camera so that you guys can hear me over the oxygen. Oh, awesome. Nutty's here to CC. Awesome. Okay, I talked with Wyatt's dentists, who I think are Wyatt's biggest cheerleaders as far as doctors go. I love his dentists so much. They follow him. They follow him on social media. They're always checking in with me when they see updates that I post. They are very invested in his care. So I just want to say, love them. Okay, so we have some answers. Wyatt was born with a condition called TMJ dysplasia. So the TMJ it stands for a really long word, temporomandibular joint. I don't think that Nutty's going to spell that all out. But it's basically, the TMJ is the joint that opens and closes your jaw. So that ball and socket that's right in the back. I'm going like this. Ball and socket that's right in the back. That's your TMJ. And he has TMJ dysplasia. So basically that means that this ball and socket joint, when they're looking at the shape of it, it's misshapen. There's areas that are flattened that shouldn't be flat. And the ball just doesn't fit right into that socket. It's not shaped correctly. And so it's not connected correctly. It's not, it can't move the way a joint should be able to move. On the left-hand side, he has some minor subluxation. I'm not sure what that means. And they also can't rule out that he has some kind of secondary nerve issue. But the primary thing is this TMJ dysplasia. That's sort of the like overarching main problem, is that his joints are deformed. So he was born with it. They don't believe there was any trauma when he was born. They think this was all genetic, based on, they didn't see any scarring or evidence of fractures or anything like that. So subluxation is the ball moves out of the joint some. That's what it was. They said that it was dislocated. So that's what they must have meant by that. The left side is dislocated. Thanks, everyone. So that's what he has. And as he has grown, we saw this at his last dentist appointment. Because of that dislocation, his jaw has actually compensated for it and has rotated and shifted. And so the right side of his jaw has moved forward, And so his jaw is currently kind of crooked, and we knew that from the last dentist exam. Okay, so that's what he has. Now, what can be done about it? The short answer is everything to fix this would require anesthesia. So we don't plan on doing that anytime soon. But it was interesting to hear about, what could be if Wyatt does continue to improve, if we're able to get him to a good place where, we consider anesthesia in the future. The first thing they would do is back to that first idea they had about removing those back teeth. So they think that, that the what's called a malocclusion, which is where the teeth are butting up against each other, on top of each other. They think that if they remove the teeth, that we might be able to get at least some more movement, be able to close his mouth a little bit more. Maybe not completely, but be able to get some improvement. So they would start with that. There's also this procedure they do that's called buttons. They do this when an animal has a jaw fracture, and they actually use buttons. They stitch on buttons to hold their jaw up. And it's not a permanent thing, but they considered, doing something like that for him. And this is like way out there, guys, but, high in the sky, there is a vet out at UC Davis in California, cutting edge hospital at UC Davis, doing all kinds of research there. There is a doctor out there who is like the leader of jaws in animals. He's just started doing jaw transplants, jaw replacements, I shouldn't say transplants, jaw replacements in dogs. So in the case where they actually do have TMJ dysplasia, he is performing surgery to replace the whole TMJ, the whole joint, like you would have a knee replacement. They're doing jaw replacement. It's only in dogs that they're doing it. But, talking to our dentist today, they said if we ever considered this, they would absolutely contact this doctor out at UC Davis and consult with him and see if this is a possibility for Wyatt. It's way out there, not something that we should bank on at all, but it was kind of cool to even think that that there's even a possibility of something this wild that's being done, elsewhere. So the good news is that Wyatt eats on his own now, so he's able to be more independent. And we did kind of figure out a good method for him to eat and gain weight. He's gaining weight very rapidly, actually. So there's no pressure or sort of time constraint on fixing this. Yeah, UC Davis is awesome, especially, they have so much research happening in veterinary medicine. It's incredible. So yeah, so nothing that we're going to worry about now, but just interesting info. So yeah, Jill's question: does he have muscle tone to be able to open and close his mouth? Yeah. So it's unknown. That's definitely that's not something that shows up on a CT scan, and they said we could perform all of this, and there could be nerve damage, or there could be muscle issues where even if we fixed the joint, he still would not be able to open and close his mouth. That's a possibility. And in fact, like, some of the surgical options could make it worse. Because, we don't know what his muscle tone is like. We don't know what he's capable of because he hasn't been able to open and close his mouth. So, really it came down to, like, if his jaw were affecting his quality of life, and and he was a candidate for anesthesia, we would consider it. If it was sort of like it's this or nothing. But since he's eating successfully and gaining weight and getting the nutrition he needs, it's not something we're going to consider at this point. So the other thing is, they were surprised I hadn't seen any of the CT scans yet. I said, yeah, I haven't seen any of them. And so they're going to send me, they're going to take some screenshots of the jaw and send those to me. And they're going to send me the whole CT scan, which is like, who knows how many images that I'll probably not be able to understand. But it'll be nice to actually have a copy of that. Pen was not giving me a copy of it, and I was trying my best to try to figure out how to get my hands on it. So, yeah, interestingly, I should be able to show you guys maybe tomorrow the image of his jaw and actually what it looks like. Hi, baby. So we finally can answer the question, what's wrong with Wyatt's jaw? TMJ dysplasia. Are we able to fix it? Possibly, but at great risk. So those are probably the two most common questions that I get when people first learn about Wyatt. They ask about his mouth, and we have the answers for that now. So I'm still waiting on Dr. Glass is reviewing his CT scan of his brain and his skull. I haven't heard back from them yet, and the new internal medicine specialist is reviewing them in preparation for Friday. This Friday, he goes to see the new internist, and he's looking at those. So we should be getting a couple more findings. But I think largely we have a pretty good picture of Wyatt and his conditions at this point. We know what's going on with his jaw. We know he has hydrocephalus. We know he was born with underdeveloped lungs, which is why he has problems breathing. We know that the lung condition caused his heart condition. We know that, he doesn't have an underlying congenital heart issue. It's all stems from the problems with his lungs. And I think those were like most of our questions. His feet. No, I don't know anything about his feet. You can't just say TMJ is painful, because TMJ doesn't describe what the condition is. There are all kinds of TMJ just tells you that just is the name of the joint itself. What he has is TMJ dysplasia. There's TMJ and then a whole bunch of terms. So there's all kinds of things that can happen with that jaw joint. What he has, dysplasia of that jaw joint, is not painful. It's, it's not lockjaw. It's not, there's all kinds of other things. He has, just this, it's just deformed. The shape of it is deformed. But his condition is not TMJ. That doesn't, it doesn't make sense to say it that way, because the joint is called TMJ. We don't know anything about his lungs. That's internal medicine, and he meets with Friday with his internist. So today was just dentist. Yeah, I mean, I imagine, as he grows, we'll continue to have checkups here and there with his dentists, and yeah, they can evaluate how his jaw's doing. But mostly we're just going to be watching to make sure that he continues to eat on his own and continues to gain weight, or at least, I mean, he might get to a point where like he's considered fully grown and he might only be like 3 pounds, but at least that he's like consistently eating and not losing weight. Yeah, yes, yes. Wyatt is going to the vet in his bubble transport. I have a small oxygen tent with a travel oxygen concentrator. It plugs into the car, so and the battery itself lasts for like 2 hours not plugged in. So we'll have it plugged in for the drive. We'll take him into the vet office in it, and then it'll be plugged in the way home. So I'm not too, and he's fine for at least an hour outside of oxygen. So I don't have too much concern about it. I think it'll be fine. I'll still be nervous, but I think I'm nervous just because, why wouldn't you be? But I feel pretty confident that we have a good setup for travel. Much better than when he came from the hospital. And he just had that silly little mask. That was terrifying. You girls are noisy. Okay. Any other questions before I wrap up? Mary, not until we meet with the internist. I really need to see if there's any options for his lungs, to improve his lungs. I think that's probably the biggest priority, but I don't know if there's anything we can do yet. But I can't really say what order we're going to do things until I meet with him first. Yeah, I think we all can agree that fixing his jaw is not a priority right now. But it's still interesting that we learned about it and that we got answers. So I hope you found that as interesting as I did. Thanks for the CC, Nutty. There is a severity in hydrocephalus, and his CT scan from radiology notes say it's moderate. It's typically mild, moderate, or severe, and his was listed as moderate. Okay, guys, let's get this camera back. Thanks, everyone. See you later.